It's almost universal, whether it's 2 wheels, 4 wheels, 18 wheels, no wheels. So many of us have a special memory involving a vehicle or a story about a car we've loved. Even if you can't tell a crankshaft from a drive shaft, I want to hear the story of the vehicle that moved you. I'm Blake Jackson, and this is Auto-Biography. Welcoming the next guest on the Auto-Biography podcast. He's a nurse with the Saskatchewan Health Authority, so he's fixing people as well as fixing up vehicles. Old friend of mine, very happy to have him on the show. Please welcome Mr. Len Wegner. Len, tell us about the vehicle that moved you.
I have to say, I've been thinking about this, and it's not so much one vehicle, but a line of vehicles, and that would be the Impala. So Impalas have been with me throughout my whole life that I remember.
The Impala, Chevrolet's flagship full-size automobile, debuting in 1958 with its one-of-a-kind, for the first time, symmetrical triple taillights. Running to 1985, then from 94 to 96, and again from 2000 to 2020. Through 10 generations of cars, the Impala topped out at 214.1 inches in length in 1994. That's 17.8 feet. Rumor was, in some models, you could haul a 4x8 sheet of plywood in the trunk. Through the years, these giants were powered by everything from the 235 Blue Flame 6 to the 427 and 454 big blocks. All through the years, most rare was the 1964 Impala SS, factory-built race car, some of which sell at auction for over $300,000.
It started out when I was 6 years old, and I think it's probably one of my first memories. And I remember my dad driving home a brand new 1975 red Impala, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And I think that kind of wrecked me for the rest of my life.
Brand loyalty, right?
So, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it was a great car. I love that car. And then next was, I remember my uncle came out from Winnipeg. And, of course, that was a big deal back in the day. That was back in the 70s. And he had a 1965 Chevy Impala four-door. And it was red as well, actually. It happened to be. And I just loved that car. I mean, of course, you know, when you're 7 or 8 years old, you just idolize some of your family like that, eh? And the fact that he had an Impala the same as my dad did was just crazy. And I remember those, actually, I think it was a 65 Impala because it had the red bullet lights on the back. And to this day, that 65, 66 is probably still one of my favorite cars. Mm-hmm. And then the first car I ever bought was a 1977 Caprice Classic. So, a little fancier than Impala, but basically an Impala dressed up. And again, I love that car. It was the 77 was the Motor Trend Car of the Year, and it was the first year that they downsized from 76 was sort of the last of the full-size Impalas, and then downsized to downsize. I say that in quotations, but downsized to the 77. And I had a four-door, but the two-door had the window on the back, and it was kind of like a triangle almost. It's kind of hard to explain unless you see it, but. I still love that car. If I could get my hands on a 77 up with that window and a two-door, I think that would be a lot of fun. And it had a 350 in it, and that was a car that I know you've talked about on with some of the other guests where they flipped the air cleaner upside down.
Yes.
And that was one of the things I did, and that was a lot of fun. Made it sound, I don't know, it gave a whole lot more power, but it was a lot of fun.
And it almost had sort of a turbo sort of whoosh to it when you opened up the carbs.
It did. I was looking at actually buying a Chrysler Newport, which had a 440 in it. Of course, they figured that was too much car for me. So they let me buy the 77 Caprice with the 350. And let me tell you, just as many stupid things in that car. I had that car up to the needle almost wrapped around the bottom. It only went up to, I think, 85 on the Speedo. Mm-hmm. And so I had it past 85, and then there was a bar, and it came out below that bar. And it was pretty scary when I think about it now. The whole front end of that car just picked up and floated down the road. So that was a good car.
You mentioned that the 77 Caprice Classic was the Motor Trend car of the year for that year in 1977. Yeah. What was it about the Caprice that they said made that the car of the year?
It was because of the downsizing.
Oh.
And right, so it went from the big boat. That was back when they were still making the big land lots. It was more fuel efficient than the old cars, than the old body style. And if I'm remember right, I believe that they were ahead of the game of Ford, and I think Ford came a year or two later. So they were kind of the big thing because they were so much smaller, and I use the term smaller loosely.
Yeah.
But back in the 70s, they certainly were a lot smaller than what came before them. So, and then my next Impala, the one that's still in my life, is a 2000 Impala SS. So it's front-wheel drive, unfortunately, but it was a 2006 to 2009 they made them, and they actually put the LS motor in it. So they put crammed the V8 in it sideways. And it's got, I believe, 303 horsepower and about 347 foot-pounds of torque. And it's a fast car. So, and it's kind of fun. I put a bit of an exhaust on it, so when I pull up to the gas station or fire it up, it's got just a nice little rumble to it, and people aren't expecting it. It's just a family car with a big motor stuffed in it. And I've had it now for 7 or 8 years. I smile every time I get in that car and drive it. I'm like, this car ain't going anywhere.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I love sleepers.
It is a lot of fun. It is a total sleeper. And GM really understated it. They put an SS badge on it, and they put 18-inch rims on it. And and they blocked everything out. And, if you look inside, it says SS on the steering wheel and on the leather seats. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I take it. I'm in the car club in Lloydminster, the Auto Club, and I've been taking it to the car shows. And it's funny. A lot of the old guys will kind of look at it and like, "Why would you bring that there?" And then I have the hood open, and they take a look at the under the hood, and they're like, I get it." And back in the day, that's kind of what they did. They just took family cars and stuffed big motors in them, and you had lots of fun with them.
So is there another Impala coming to your life sometime?
Not right at this point. I think I'm going to enjoy this. I'm getting to that age, Blake, where it's nice to have those heated seats and the power windows and the air conditioning.
Yeah.
But I do have to say, if sort of a mid-70s two-door Caprice or Impala came up, I'd probably think about it and turning it into a bit of a hot rod. I would probably do something like that for sure. And it's a bit cliche, everybody loves them, but the 65, 66 SSs, you can't go wrong there too. But they're starting to get up there a bit. Just that big car with a big motor in it. Oh, one more Impala that I forgot to tell you.
Oh, geez.
This was a 66 Impala SS. And at that time, this was after I graduated from high school, and I was going to head off to school in Eston, and I was in Kerrobert with a friend of mine. And there's a 66 SS with a 427 and a 4-speed in it, and factory tilt, factory tack, just a beautiful, beautiful car. And it for sale, and I was tempted to buy it. The problem was what it cost was what it was going to cost me to go to school. And so I'm like, okay, do I go to school or do I buy this car? And in the end, I didn't buy the car, which is probably a good thing. That's where I met my wife, and we've been married now for almost 31 years and 2 great kids. So in retrospect, great decision, but it was a hard decision at the time to make.
And you know what? I mean, you've done so well and making the right choice there. I hope karma swings around and gets you that 60s with a 427 too. Oh, you're a good man.
It was a sweet car, man. Yeah, I know. It was a tough choice.
What else is in the stable for you right now?
Well, I've got a bunch of cars. So I was working on an 87 Trans Am, and unfortunately, I had a fire in my garage, and the fire totaled it. So I was almost done it. But I've got a 78 Smokey and the Bandit Trans Am with the 400 big block and the automatic in it. And I've had it now for about 21 years, so I think I'm going to pull it into the garage this winter once I get the fire rebuild done and do it. It all runs. It just needs quarter panels in the front and the front fenders. So I think that's the plan. It's got about 113,000 original kilometers, all numbers matching. So, and no, it's not for sale.
It shouldn't be. That sounds like an awesome car. I love the fire chicken.
Yeah, it's lots of fun. Yeah, you can't beat it. It's so tacky. But, you know, when you sit it, it's just like, man, this is a nice car. You look at it, like I say, it's tacky and cheesy, but fun car to drive.
You know what? Anyone who says it's tacky and cheesy is just jealous.
Yeah, you got that right.
For sure. Well, this is perfect. Your line of Impalas and how the brand impacted your life, that's awesome. This is exactly what I wanted to hear.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad. Yeah, I could talk for hours, Blake, about cars.
Great to hear. I haven't spoken to him over 20 years. Len Wegner, and great to hear about his cavalcade of Impalas. I had no idea. And that's so cool to hear, and I do hope for a ride once we can get back to going to car shows and hanging out together and doing everything together. I'm Blake Jackson, the Auto-Biography Podcast. Thank you for tuning in, for listening. Check us out on all the social media. You can check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. And now it is time for the next Myth of the Machine. He is honestly one of the leading realtors in Central Alberta, and just a heck of a guy. Great storyteller, so very excited to have Mr. Ryan Phillip join us today.
Hey, Blake, thanks for having me.
For sure. Ryan, what was the vehicle that moved you?
Well, it's not exciting. Like, here's people have these Camaros and Firebirds and everything else. Well, my first vehicle, 16, borrowed money from mom and dad. I had to pay them a monthly payment of $75 as my what I had to pay him. I had bought a 1987 Ford Tempo 2-door black car. It's 5-speed standard.
The 1987 Ford Tempo and its cousin, the Mercury Topaz, were produced from 84 to 94, an effort by Ford to offer an environmentally friendly car with a modern design. Through the 10 years of its run, 2,732,542 were produced. If put end to end, they'd stretch from Red Deer to Porac, which is some village in the Philippines, apparently. I was in a hurry.
So you wanted to talk about a luxury vehicle? That was not it, but it got me from point A to point B all the time.
Well, that's 2-door, and you've got a 5-speed, so that's pretty sporty, actually.
You know what? It was a black car, had a red pinstripe on it, and your standard rims. So here I am, 16, and what do you do when you're 16 besides blowing all your money on a new stereo system? So I ended up putting for graduation. So I turned 18, got graduation gift. What do you want? Well, I wanted a stereo system, so I got a Kenwood deck, the one where you remove the faceplate.
Oh yeah.
And then we, me and my cousin built a custom sub box. We put two 12-inch subs in it, and a 1,000-watt Alpine amp, and the stereo was worth probably twice as much as what I paid for. I think I paid $2,000 for the car, and the stereo is worth way more than that. And so that's one thing. Great. So it's a great sounding stereo, but you got to look good. It's a Tempo. How do you make a Tempo look good? Well, we used to have a shop in North End, so I took it to my dad's shop over a weekend, and I removed the pinstripe, so it's all black.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I went to local Home Hardware in North End, and I bought some gold spray paint, masked off the wheels, and had gold wheels now. And then, and to top it off, I spent probably a few $100 on getting the whole thing tinted. So 87 Tempo, pitch black, gold rims, and the pounding stereo. That was my car, and you know what? It made many miles, got me through high school, got me through college, got me through after college, and then I ended up selling it to put on the Advocate, because there's no Kijiji at that point.
Yeah.
This is early 2000s, I guess, and ended up selling it, and the people bought it actually never registered it, because the next year I got the papers in the mail to register it again. So I had it for like 9 months, never registered. So I have no idea what happened to it. It could be driving around still, but it was it was something. Look at I had a Tempo, my buddy had the Topaz. So we were the Ford friends, and
Yeah.
you know, it's nothing special, but it's a car I'll always remember. And at one point, the actual my driver's seat, the lever to hold up seat went. So I drove from Lethbridge to Red Deer once with no backrest. Talk about a back pain. So I ended up using milk crates behind the driver's seat
Yeah.
to hold the seat up till I could all I needed was a bolt. And I got it fixed after. But it was a memorable car. I still have pictures of it, and lots of memories on that one. Definitely loved it. Don't miss it, but I still liked it and loved it.
Where was the craziest or I guess most interesting place you ever took it?
Down probably out west camping. You know, like you're
Camping?
taking this little four-cylinder car into the bush where you shouldn't be driving, and we got it through as a front-wheel drive.
Yeah.
So got it through a lot of things. I never had to replace a rubber on it, I don't think ever. But yeah, she went through anything. You know, those front-wheel drive cars were fun to have, especially as a 5-speed standard. That was the best thing about it. But yeah, maybe out west with nothing crazy like that. Like I never got stuck or drowned in the mud or anything. But just kind of out west in the bush, I guess.
And any close calls? Any peril? Any danger with that car?
No, because I had my close call when I got my license. So mom and dad had a 93 Isuzu Trooper, and those vehicles were ahead of their times. They had windshield washing. It was crazy how many options they had. So I'll get my license. Mom and dad said, yeah, you can go for the day. So I took it out. And the old Maspatoon Road, which is now going up Kerrywood Drive, past Bower Ponds turnoff, that used to be a gravel road going to the farm. Well, back in the day, me and my buddy were driving on it, and we raced down it. Well, those Isuzu Troopers are top heavy, so I ended up sliding to the ditch, and I overcorrected it, and I put up in 2 wheels, put in the ditch, and then I slammed down, and I popped the beads off.
Oh.
And Dad was going on a golf trip the next day. And luckily, it was his birthday weekend, so that night we had friends over. This is before cell phones, so we walked to my friend's house in Oriole Park. They come, his parents come pick us up. We drive there, so I had to call them. Mom said, hey, Mom, I've been in an accident, and she's worried. I was safe. Yeah, I was safe, but the vehicle's not in good shape, so we paid for a tow truck. All it was the beads popped off the rim, so it was easy to fix. But luck for me, Dad and all his buddies over that night for a birthday party.
Yeah.
And they're going golf the next day to BC for a week. And it wasn't for his friends. I don't think I'd be here today because my dad would have torn me a new one.
Oh, yeah.
But his friends made light of the situation because it all in all worked out okay.
Yeah.
But I learned a lesson about gravel roads and speed, and you don't do that. But that was their vehicle. With my vehicle, I ran over a dead deer once with it. But it was a great day. I was going to look home for it. It's a high school basketball tournament or something. And pitch black out. Came across it, like instantly couldn't stop, couldn't turn. Drake had thumped over it, and but that had nothing major with it. The car's in good shape, actually, surprisingly.
So if you're out there cruising along, and music's a hard one to qualify because I mean you love music, I love music as well. But what's your favorite song for cruising right now?
Back in the day, I used to. Right now,
or back in the day?
Well, back in the day, you made your mixed CDs. Right?
Yeah.
This is so we had the mixed CD, and that was the old days of Napster and stuff. And I used to call my disc Phil's Mix Volume whatever.
Yeah.
I probably had the binder full, and like everyone else did in that era. It was before phones and stuff. Cruising, I used to listen to a lot of rap back in the day. I still do. But I guess I'm mature with my ways now, but I love country. Mm-hmm. And I just love a mixture of country and cruising. My favorite song, for whatever it is, because my son maybe, is the Alan Jackson Drive, talking about the old boat that they restored and took on lake and drive. That's kind of a song that hits soft to me. Whenever that song's on, I crank it up in my vehicle whenever I can, because my wife hates country, but I love it. So it's a love-hate relationship. I'd say some Alan Jackson, some Eric Church cranked up. I'm obviously vehicles now have good sound systems compared to the old days, but yeah, I say country music is where it's at, I guess. I guess I'm getting wise with my age, I guess.
So if you were to have a situation where money was no issue and you could go out and grab any car from the start of time until now, what's your dream car?
Yeah, 97 Dodge Viper.
Good answer.
Blue with the pinstripe. That's a car I've loved for years. I'm also 6'5", 250 pounds. I would not fit in it, but that'd be a goal to maybe shrink a bit. But that's a car that I think it's a attainable goal.
Yeah.
And it's not crazy, but it's a car that I've always loved. Maybe not 97, maybe something newer, but the Dodge Viper is just one that always had that. Oh, I have a big heart for that type of car.
That's a great answer. Actually, good news for you about the height. Because they're race cars, they actually put bubbles on the roof so you could fit inside with a helmet.
Oh, even better.
They raised the roof a little bit.
Yeah, it's just a car. I think, I haven't driven one. I've been in some fast cars and stuff, but that's one I would like to, maybe when the kids are gone, I have some more disposable income, maybe buy a little something like that. But right now, we'll stick to my family SUV at the moment.
Well, hey, you got to be sensible when you're out there selling houses to, it seems, pretty much
Exactly.
everybody these days.
Yeah, for sure.
Right on. Well, great interview. I loved hearing about your Tempo. So thanks for coming on the podcast.
Well, thanks. It's not a fancy car, but it's a car that first car I owned, and it's a car I cherished and had it for many years. And not everyone gets to have a nice little Challenger or Mustang. I had the Tempo, and I loved it, and lots of great memories in it.
Thank you very much, Ryan Phillip. I got a kick out of that. Always a good time. You never know what's going to happen when you first start driving. And really, compared to some people, he got off fairly lightly, just blowing the beads off his dad's tires. He's a heck of a realtor as well. If you're looking for someone to sell your house or help you find the right one, that's the guy right there, Ryan Phillip. Thank you very much. And thank you, of course, to Len Wegner for phoning in and telling us about the menagerie of Impalas. I'm Blake Jackson. This is the Auto-Biography podcast. Tune in next time. Until then, keep your wheels on the road and a tarp on your load.